Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Today we are going to paint the March page in our Light Wish calendar. I will link to it below if it's still available. If not, please feel free, or whatever, please feel free to paint on whatever paper you like. You don't need to purchase a calendar if you don't have one. If you're painting along, we're going on our third painting. Isn't that fun? This month we have a quote from Picasso, and there's actually two quotes from Picasso on this page in the calendar. So I thought it would be fun to do a cubist style still life. And the quotes are, "Painting is a blind man's profession. He paints on not what he sees, but what he feels, what he tells himself about what he has seen." And the other quote is, "The purpose of art is washing the dust of daily life off our souls," which feels a little paraphrased because I feel like I've heard that quote a million times and that's not exactly how it goes. But in any event, we are going to get going here. So Cubism was an art movement that was popularized by Picasso and George Braque. And this is about the time where photography was getting really popular. You had the Impressionism movement going, and you know, artists were feeling less of a need to paint exactly the way things are. They wanted to look at things differently and be more creative and kind of paint from within rather than what they see. So on this still life, I found a reference photo, and so we're gonna paint a still life, and we're gonna kind of angle our objects here. I'm doing some grapes. Now, Cubism, it got its name for how it ended up looking, but the basis of it was kind of getting rid of the linear perspective and seeing things how they are from one vantage point, and kind of fracturing it and seeing it from different angles and different sides all at once. So cubist paintings tend to look a little flat because of that weird perspective that we're seeing, or that lack of linear perspective. So I'm putting these grapes in here, and I mean, we all actually kind of move our things around and make them fit our paper. Like the still life I'm looking at is actually a portrait style, and we're doing it in a landscape. So I'm just kind of putting this group of grapes almost looking like a pile of rocks. You could paint a pile of rocks. You don't need to be representational. I am using watercolor crayons. Pablo Picasso is very famous for using oil pastels. He actually worked with Sennelier to develop the first oil pastels, and I think that's really kind of cool because I love crayons. I love crayons and pastels. And this was a set that I haven't used in a while. My gosh, it doesn't want to let me get them out of the box here. Can I pry them out? Oh my gosh. So I thought it'd be very fitting to use them in today's artwork. These are the watercolor, are they called watercolor sticks or watercolor crayons? Let me just look at the box here. They're the American Journey Artist Watercolor Sticks, but they are, I would say they're somewhere in between the Neocolors and a Daniel Smith watercolor stick. But the Daniel Smith sticks I don't like to sketch with as much. I like to cut them down and put them in pans. Now I'm going to draw this pear kind of like I was drawing a block. And I'm moving it. I'm not putting it where it was in the still life. And now the bottle, I want to make the bottle more squat. And actually I'm just going to go ahead and throw in a little bit of color with that crayon while I'm at it. Maybe I'll put some of that color over here in these grapes. This is New Gamboge, I believe, or just Gamboge. Let's grab a brown. Holy moly. I think these kind of fuse. See what can happen if you don't use your supplies? You can see the wax is kind of bloomed out and created a shell on the outside of that, but they still work fine, which is nice. So actually the easiest way to draw a bottle is to start off with a cube. You see a lot of like cubes and funnel shapes in Cubism. I'm going to do a little triangle on top, kind of, or maybe actually more of a parallelogram, and I'm making this way shorter than it is because I want it to fit on my paper. We're manipulating space, which is what the cubists did. Alright, so we've got this jug here. It's more of a jug than a bottle. Now I feel like I want more. I want more in this. Boy, that's a big pear compared to the size of that jug. What else? Let's put our little stem in here. What do we want to do for color? I like three things. We don't have a lot of space on this on this page, I want to use some bold colors. Picasso used lots of different color schemes. I actually got a chance to see one of his most famous cubist paintings at the MoMA a couple of years ago. And it was just amazing. It was amazing to stand in the same room with such a famous painting. It was like seeing a famous person. So I'm putting this color in the background. I did tape off the borders so I didn't have to worry about it being messed up. Let's do, maybe some red. I feel like I want to have a bold color. I'm going to do this Rose Madder. Let's bring it down a little bit lower. Let's do the rule of thirds. Maybe I'll grab my T-square. I don't know if I have this stuck on straight, so I'll try to like get it along the edge of my paper, not my board here. There, let's do that. Let's do that. These crayons dissolve pretty well. Kind of more, these are going to look more like watercolor than pastels. So if you wanted to, if you use the neocolors, you could build up more opaque layers. These really aren't the best for that, but I like them. And it's like, you know, Lindsay, get out those supplies. That's why I like to do the yearly defrag, where I go through and kind of touch everything, all my supplies once a year. Oh wait, I can just move that out. These are weird though. I'm sorry, I've never seen crayons kind of break apart from their wax like that. But not hurting anything. I'm giving a little shadow towards the bottom of the paper here. Maybe you want to break up the background into different shapes. Of course, I've already colored in with one color, but we could do it kind of like a prism effect. See how that works. Now we could add some other colors in there. You know what? I think I want to put some of that blue in my bottle as well, even though it is a brown bottle. I feel like having some of that color would be nice. I might grab the those Sunny watercolor crayons. Not Sunny. Why do I want to say Sunny? I want to say Sunny because everyone keeps saying they look like the Sunny ones. The eye crayon ones that I reviewed on Monday. Of course, when this comes out, it might be a little while later. And see how those will work. Maybe I'll use some of this sap green too. So this is just our blocking in phase. If you want to learn more about Picasso, there are wonderful, wonderful documentaries you can find for free on YouTube. There are books you can check out of the library. When I used to teach art history at the senior center, as I didn't go to art school, but they insisted I taught art history, I would have to go to the library and cram with all the art history books and learn about a particular topic. But it was really interesting. I actually loved that because it kind of felt like I was going to art school with all the information I was gleaning from those books. But now, my gosh, you can learn anything on YouTube, I feel. Okay, let's add some water. Now, when I'm using a water-soluble crayon, even if it is a more watercolory one, I still like to use my golden taklon brushes rather than my watercolor brushes because they have a little bit more oomph and they hold a little less water, so I don't over dilute the crayons. And I'm going to use a flat brush because I think a flat brush will give me more of a cubist look. Cubism also can look a little bit like collage because of the kind of disjointed perspective and the harsh edges. So using a flat brush will help us achieve that. I want to avoid over refinement of this. But I think I will like going back in with those softer crayons too that are more opaque. I think that would be that'll be a really fun and visceral way to explore this type of art. And I don't know how refined it will look. I mean, it's not, I don't know how refined I'll end up. I'm seeing lots of marks there, but I kind of like that. I kind of like seeing those angular marks. I think I should store all my water-soluble crayons together. Although this comes in such a nice little case. That's the thing. It's like, if they come in a really nice case, I want to keep them in the case. But these are from Cheap Joe's Art Stuff if you're wanting to explore them further. This dirty brush, I'm actually going to go in the bottom part of these grapes and dissolve them. And come over here to the pear as well. I like to get the excess water off of my brush. I will have more water on my brush for these types of crayons than I will a Neocolor, because with the Neocolor or the eye crayon ones I just reviewed, I want to use them in a thicker fashion. So, you know, it just depends on how you want to use your product. Also, I find that the eye crayon ones don't dissolve quite as readily, so I'm more inclined to use them thick for that reason too. I feel like I want to give that a tan cork instead of a white cork, which is on the reference photo. Cubism gives you the freedom to move things, change things, completely obliterate reality, and I like that. I think that's I think we ought to do that more often. All right, now I'm going to go right ahead and grab my eye crayons. I got both of the sets right here. Now, one thing I want to mention about these is when I reviewed them, they were under $25 a piece. They've now gone up to like $29 a piece, and I wouldn't pay that. I wouldn't pay more than $25, because once you get over $25, you can buy Lyras, and Lyras, they're more water soluble. So for me, that's a little bit more versatile, and I would recommend those more. Okay, I'm gonna try these on damp paper. Hopefully that works well. And if not, then I will dry it and we'll come back to it. So I'm going to start off with this, a nice bright green. Actually, it is working pretty well. Although when you're working on dry paper, you do run the risk of damaging it. So just kind of keep that in mind. So I'm making my grapes a little bit more angled, a little bit sharper and less round. I'll go with this darker color. And I am actually trying to be fairly brisk. I'm going to go right off the bottom of the page with this one. I'm not flattening the tooth too badly here. This isn't going to be, I mean, this still looks like it's in its own proper plane, so I'm not I'm not being too revolutionary here, but you can divide up your tones and your shadows based on where you want the light hitting. And kind of create a modeled or a sculpted form that way. My favorite part of these crayons is layering them up. I see actually there's a strong shadow on this side. It's kind of fighting with the coloring of the pear. I think I want to add some rusty colors into that too. Oh, I like how scattered that is. Okay, so our shadow's going off to that side. I think I still want to make my lighting make sense, even though we do have the fractured shape elements. Now the red, you can use red to really cut through greens and darken them. Let me do a little pink and break up the lighter areas. What could we do in the bottle to break up that shape a little bit? And I like bouncing around because I think that that can be really interesting. Let's see, get a really dark shadow over on that side or refraction. So let's just simplify it. There's a lot of simplification in cubism. Well, you can simplify a shape, but you can also make it more complex, you know, by showing it from different angles. I realize this might not be what everybody wants on their calendar page, and that's fine. If you don't want to do that, please don't feel like you must. I want to show highlight. I want to show reflection, so I want to put some of these other colors that I'm seeing, that even though I see a little bit of reflection in the reference photo, but I want to throw in some of these more vibrant colors. Maybe throw in some blues. I like the fractured background shapes. Even where I just kind of scribbled them, so I kind of want to pick some of them out. You can sharpen the pastels if you want to, or you can color them on the side like I'm doing here, and that will help sharpen them. We've got Pablo Picasso to thank for our oil pastels. He would have loved oil sticks. He had a bit of a problematic personality. He was kind of known as a womanizer. I think that by today's standards, he would have been canceled. But I think it's really important to look at the art and separate it from the artist at times. And also not view everything through our modern day lens, otherwise we miss out on a lot of beautiful art. Which, even saying that, I know is risky online, to be a person online and say that, but I do think we can't be afraid to look at art. We can't be afraid to listen to what people in the past have said. We can't be afraid to read different things. Oh, I like that that kind of fractured looking background. And it's totally fine to love the art but not love the artist. Or it's fine to like the artist and not like the art. Oh, I want to get some of those colors in the more in the bottle too. Alright, I'm not sure if I like the grain in the background, so I'm going to go in, maybe get rid of some of the grain. These aren't going to dissolve fully just because of the nature of the pastels. They are water soluble, but they are not as water soluble as the watercolor crayons that I used from Cheap Joe's. Actually, I think I like the grain better. This pot has become very wonky and I kind of like it actually. And speaking of art, not all art has to be light. Picasso's most famous painting, Guernica, is not an appealing painting. It's about war. And not every art, or not every piece of art, needs to be beautiful. Not every piece of art needs to have prints made out of it to decorate your living room. Art's a form of communication. Art's a form of media. Learn the techniques so you can express yourself however you like. As I say, learn the rules so you can break them. And Picasso did that. Picasso could do realism very well, but I think he questioned the need for it with cameras and other technology. And at the time of Cubism, there was kind of a technological resurgence, not unlike what we're going through today with AI. And rather than be afraid of what was going to become of their careers, their livelihood, they went a different direction. And I think that's what we as artists nowadays are going to have to do with AI as well. So don't fret, don't fear. It always happens. We just have to think of different ways to either do something differently. Like, hey AI, why don't you do something, get some awful chore off of our to-do list so we can make art, or use it as a tool to grow from, not to make us lazy, but to somehow give us, you know, give us new perspectives, give us new ideas. I don't know. I don't know how to use it. I don't know how it's going to go. But these technological issues always come along for artists, and we're all still here. We're all still here. I've got a white pastel here, a white crayon, and I'm gonna go in and see if I can do some. I don't know if I can do some highlights with this. It doesn't really want to stick, but I can kind of sculpt a little bit with it, especially here where I haven't put that much wax and it's not wet. If your paper's wet, you're probably going to have a little bit more issue with the white sticking. I want some different colors on there. Let's do... I wonder what it's like if we go back in with these more transparent watercolor crayons over the waxy ones. They're almost like blending with a blending stump, really, because they will impart a little bit of color, but not a ton. Something else I want to talk about is investing in children when they're young with their art. Picasso's parents invested in his art when he was very young. He was sketching at rodeos, or not rodeos, what do you call it when they chase the bulls, or the bulls chase the people in Spain. The running of the bulls, he would sketch at 3 years old in these places. I bet part of his quirks probably comes from his upbringing. Ooh, that's a nice color. What is that? That is sepia. Look at these. You know what? I absolutely love a kind of crusty looking old art supply. I don't know. I love it. I feel like an old art supply that's a little crusty and a little rough around the edges. It just makes me want to, it gives me like that freedom, like, okay, I'm not going to worry about this. It's well loved, right? It's not precious. Oh, you can go in there with a little bit of black. Why not? Look at me. Is this black? I think it's black. Somebody asked me, actually a few people asked me about the light fastness of these these eye crayon pastels. I honestly, with budget materials, I am very, unless I do my own testing, which I live in Maine, I'm too far away from the equator to do a proper test of anything. I don't really buy any light fast claims, but honestly a lot of these budget materials I'm using for fun. If I want to have something to display and I absolutely want it to last, I am going to go with a more tried and true brand. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking at these grapes and I'm saying, okay, how can I break this up? I'm looking at the shapes between the grapes. I'm getting those kind of harder edges. Getting the shadows in there. They actually end up being, the shapes between the round grapes end up being very angular. I don't know if I like black for that stem, but yeah, it's in there, so we're not going to fret. I don't know if I really like black for that shadow, but I'm not going for realism here, so Again, not gonna sweat it. Not gonna sweat it. In fact, I think I'll blend out the black with some pink. I think this is a really fun exercise in working quickly too, which is something that I can sometimes get away from, and then I'm like, why did this take me so long? And a lot of the times it's like, well, I'm trying to make something presentable for online. I'm not just like sketching for accuracy or for speed. I'm just trying to make something presentable, and that's I think that's kind of where art can die a little bit. How about we take some of that pink and we bring it over to our pear. And how about we put some of that in our bottle as well? Kind of regretting that jug. But life is short, no regrets. The grapes need a little more something. I don't know, maybe a little bit of this green. I like to take a lighter color and blend out my shadows with it. I like to do that with markers too, actually. I like to do that with a lot of things. Take a, like, lay down some color with a dark color and then use a lighter color to blend it out. And I also like to bring my colors around. I think I'm going to try scraping back. I don't know if this is... Scraping back in that. And then that might give me enough of a... see, I was able to put that highlight in there now, which is really gaudy and garish, but so it's so of the cubist moment, I think. That might offend people, I don't know. So I don't know if we achieved any cubism here. Probably not a ton, but it was the spirit of it anyway. And I don't know. I kind of like it. I kind of like it. I know it's rough. Let's make these stems a little more brown because they're looking a little sketchy. But I kind of like it. I kind of like it. It's bold. It's of the moment, I think. It's of the yeah, it's of the cubist moment. Let's take our tape off and see what we have here for March. Did you like this? Is it not your cup of tea? That's fine. That's fine. If it's not your cup of tea, but maybe you want to try it out, maybe you have some of these materials and you want to give it a go, you could do it in a sketchbook. You could do it on something that's not so precious. I think it's fun. I think it's fun. And what? Half an hour? Took us half an hour? That's not bad. That's not bad. You got some art done. You got some art done today. Pat yourselves on the back. I hope you enjoyed this. Please give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this. You can go to your local library, get out some books on art history, get some books on Picasso. One of my favorite art history series is the Sister Wendy series from PBS. You can find it for free on YouTube. It is wonderful. It's a great overview of history. Also, the book 1000 Paintings by Sister Wendy. She's just such a charming, delightful woman who breaks down art history into easy to digest terms and chunks, and it will, even if you think art history is the most boring subject in the world, you will not find it boring with her descriptions. I'm not religious, I just really love her way of telling the stories of the artworks that we have seen forever and love, and the ones we don't love as well. And she's not squirmish about talking about any sorts of art. She gets into it all, which is really nice. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this calendar project, and till next time, happy crafting. Bye!